Hello and welcome to journal entry number 8, and today the main topics I will be discussing today are conflict, climax, and dialogue. Now, when you're writing your script and you're starting to put your idea to the paper, all three are very, very important when you start putting your ideas to paper in terms of writing what people have to say and writing your 7 plot points, your climax, your conflict, everything else going in through. So this is a very important process that you need to follow. And the general impression of the film I selected, um, I really did like this film when I picked it, and generally speaking, it's a really realistic and emotional film, but at the same time, it's kind of understanding of how it was made and why it was made, and the choice of dialogue and conflicts that you see throughout the movie. But we'll get into that a little bit later. So the main definitions for conflict usually means struggle. It implies that you have a choice in said conflict. Now there are many different ways you can write conflict. Many different ways. And the easy thing about conflict is you get to, like I said, there are many ways you can write it. So you get to pick and choose what kind of conflict you want to talk about and how you want to make it work. The next definition is for climax, where you are presented sections within the script that build up to the climax. And the climax is when certain intensity is reached, like at a breaking point within the script that, when put into film, the big oh no moment or the big wow moment is your climax. So it takes a lot of steps to get there. And dialogue is the speeches and the kind of like what I'm doing right now, the dialoguing. I'm talking to you guys, and dialogue is essentially, your main plot of your story, writing down what the characters are going to say, whether it's exposition or something else that has to involve with the script, and kind of getting certain characters to understand what they're doing, what's going on, what they have to be saying, how they need to say it. So those are the definitions. The purposes of these concepts, yet again, they're very important. Like they set the works for how your movie is going to go, what your characters are going to say, what are the boiling points, what are the conflicts that characters have within each other, and you can recognize these in any way, shape, or form when making a film. Dialogue is easy; you can hear it. The climax, you have to really pay attention and focus on what's happening in order for you to understand the climax and the conflict within characters. Like, what are they fighting against? Themselves, the world, other people. So those are easy things to see. And the advantages of these applications is that they've been done really well in the past with certain movies out there. But also on the flip side, you can get bad movies to come out from bad dialogue, a bad climax and conflict. Kind of like some good bad movies like Samurai Cop and The Room. Like, those are examples of movies where dialogue really just isn't the strongest point in there. So the best way a writer can implement these theories is to, like Quentin Tarantino once said, when writing dialogue for a script, focus on the first page and you take as much time as you need on that said first page. And then when you go to the next page, focus on that entirely. And then the next page, the same thing. So really, you just got to have a keen eye on each paper or script that you write, and kind of hone in how you want this to go and how it can really end for certain scripts. So it's really easy. So it's really important for you guys to kind of pay attention to. It's really important for you to pay attention to what and how you're going to write your elements down on the script. The film I've chosen is known as The Return. It is a Russian film that essentially focuses on a husband coming back into a family's life. Two sons embrace him, but at the same time, one of them kind of is a little worried about where has he been and why has he come back into their lives now, so he's investigating it. And the film presents the conflict very easily, with the father against the son, kind of trying to figure out why did you leave and why did you come back. And the climax, spoilers, but you find out really why he left later on. And then the dialogue really sits still, and it could have been like exposition heavy, where you tell the facts just blatantly without any context to it. But this movie does a really good job in succeeding all three of those ideals, in terms of how the dialogue is written, how the climax is reached, and the conflict between the father and the family, trying to accept him back into their lives and not understand where he came from or why he's returned for some reason. So the best element is, that dynamic, the father-son dynamic, trying to figure out what's been going on. And really, there's no bad elements because the film does a good job of representing all three points and really doing an excellent job of showing, you know, how to make dialogue work, how to make the climax fit into something relatable and a conflict that I think most people share. So for this week's theory, I mean, obviously dialogue and everything is important. In my writing process, dialogue is essentially important, so it's easy to keep that in mind. That you need to write very strong dialogue for your characters. And learning from this film, um, you know, you can write these 3 points very easily through relatabilities, like fathers leaving and coming back, you trying to figure out why. So that's something I learned, that you can be relatable through your script with relatable subjects like that. And the connection between this and other movies and films and TVs, it's everywhere. Oh well, forget the phone. It's everywhere. I mean, it really is something that, for years people have just cracked down on and focused on showing good dialogue can be written well, and all the other points can be made so clear and so full of effort that it can be spectacular, and it can shock you about what can come on screen. And my insights, these are really good topics. They really help in terms of how you need to get your script done. And when it comes to personal recommendations for these points, you can see it in any movie, like Disney movies. They do a really good job of focusing on climaxes and conflicts and dialogue really well. So just get those a shot for yourself. And my citations are for Davis Ribb, Tone, Pace, and Conflict, and Walter Richard for Dialogue. My name is Justin, and I'll talk to y'all later. Peace out.